Listen closely, because what you're about to hear, to say, because what we hear could change the way about through life. The pains, the way you walk through life. Every one of us, no matter our background or achievements, matter our background, say, will face disrespect at some point. It may come from a stranger, a coworker, a friend, or even a family member. The real question is not if you will face it, but if you will face it, but how you handle it. The way you respond determines the level of influence, peace, and authority you will carry for the rest of your life. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share are not just ideas. Because what I'm about just ideas, but principles that can transform, but principles that can transcend how you deal with disrespect forever. If you've ever been dismissed, underestimated, or dishonored, this message will show you how to rise higher, how to losing with dignity, without losing your dignity to your destiny with your destiny. The first powerful way to deal with disrespect is to recognize your worth before you respond. In next presence, when someone tries to diminish you, it's often a reflection of their own insecurity. It's often a reflection of their own insecurity or pain, not your value. If you allow their words or behavior, if you allow their words to define you, you hand over your power. But when you anchor yourself in your true worth, no insult, no rejection, and no slight can shake you. Self-respect is the shield that deflects disrespect. The second powerful way is to control your reaction. Reaction is immediate, response is intentional. Disrespect often comes like a spark. Your reaction can either start a fire or put it out. Discipline yourself to pause, breathe, and speak only from a place of strength. Silence, when chosen wisely, is not weakness, it is power under control. The third way is to set clear and consistent boundaries. The third way is consistent boundaries. Boundaries. Teach people how to treat you. Without them, disrespect becomes a cycle. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks, allowing in what is healthy and keeping out what is harmful. This isn't about arrogance or revenge. It's about stewardship of your lifetime and emotional energy. The fourth way is to turn disrespect into fuel for growth. Let the pain push you to become wiser, stronger, and more focused. Instead of allowing disrespect to reduce us, allowing disrespect to reduce you, allow it to refine you. Some of your greatest achievements will underestimate you because someone underestimated you. Transform rejection into redirection. Finally, the fifth powerful way is to rise above and lead by example. By example, people are watching how you handle pressure, insult, and dishonor. If you can remain poised, principled, and gracious under attack, you elevate yourself beyond and the reach of petty behavior. Elevate yourself beyond the rear, and in doing so, you model maturity and strength, and in doing so, you aren't daughters without demanding it. You command respect without demanding it. When you practice these 5 ways, you're not only protecting your dignity, you're positioning yourself for influence. Disrespect will no longer derail you because you'll understand. It's not about you. It's about the insecurities of others and the strength of your own character. If you remember how you handle disrespect today will shape the respect you command tomorrow. Recognizing the hidden impact of disrespect begins with understanding that it does far more than simply hurt your feelings. Typically hurt your feelings in the moment. Disrespect can slowly erode your confidence, your sense of identity, and your capacity to see yourself with clarity. Vityasai. It is a kiete It is like a slow leak in a strong vessel. At first it seems harmless, but over time it drains your strength. But over time, it drains your strength, dulls your enthusiasm, and clouds your thinking. Can be. Many people underestimate how damaging repeated disrespect can be. When ignored, it becomes a silent force that shapes how you see your own worth. Worth. How you show up in relationships, and even how you pursue your goals. So, recognizing this hidden impact is the first step to breaking its power. Nike goes on to say, you begin to understand that every dismissive comment, every belittling action, and every subtle act of center is not simply an if to honor, if depth of insulated incident. Tikidus is not simply an isolated incident. It is an attempt to plant doubt in your spirit about who you are and what you deserve. You are and what you deserve. By becoming aware of this process, you can stop internalizing it and start treating it as as external noise. Starts it rather than internal truth. You shift from reacting emotionally to observing strategically. Strategically, this recognition also empowers you to be the intentional environment and the people you allow to speak into your life. If someone consistently disrespects you, you are no longer confused about why your energy feels drained or why your motivation is slipping. You can identify the source and take action to say to you can identify the source and take action to protect your emotional health. Recognizing the hidden impact of disrespect. Doesn't mean becoming suspicious of everyone. It means being awake, alert, and honest about how words and behaviors affect your soul. It allows you to reclaim your self-respect before it is chipped away piece by piece. Once you see the pattern, you no longer participate in it. You stop justifying poor treatment and start affirming your value. Why indeed? This awareness is not about pride. It is about stewardship of your own life. It is about stewardship of your own life. When you truly see how disrespect undermines you, you develop the courage to address it, rise above it, and ultimately grow stronger than it. This is the essential foundation for all other steps. Maintaining. Inner authority is about mastering the space between what happens to you. What happens to you and how you choose to respond. It is the invisible power that allows you to stay steady when provoked, insulted, or belittled. When you face disrespect, people are not only testing your patience, but also measuring the self-control and the depth of your the depth of your character. Inner authority means you are not easily pulled into emotional chaos. On to say, it means you recognize that your dignity does not depend on someone else's opinion, tone, or behavior. This internal stability is what separates leaders from followers, what separates from followers the poised from the reactive, and the strong from the easily manipulated. And the strong from the easily manipulated. When you maintain inner authority, you stop giving others free access to your emotional state. Their disrespect becomes noise rather than a command to react. Instead of being dragged into their storm, you remain anchored in your own peace. This is not passivity, it is deliberate power. So, it takes far more strength to hold your composure than to explode in anger. Ik spreek gewoon woorden wanneer. Each time you resist the temptation to overreact, you reinforce your own self, respect your reputation as someone who cannot be shaken. Maintaining inner authority also requires self-awareness. You must know your triggers and your limits and your values. On your values, when you understand yourself, you can anticipate how certain situations or words might affect or word you, and prepare your response in advance. Over time, this discipline becomes a shield. People sense they cannot control or manipulate you because you refuse to manipulate you, because you refuse to surrender a calm. This not only protects your emotional health, but protects your emotional health, but also elevates your influence. Others begin to trust your judgment because they see you are and not ruled by impulse or insecurity. Inner authority is the quiet confidence that says, I know who I am, now, and put into fino in me. No one else can define me. It is the inner posture that keeps you standing tall, even when others try to push you down. Joe, by maintaining it, you teach others how to treat you. You command respect without demanding it. And you develop the unshakable strength to navigate life's inevitable storms. Setting boundaries with wisdom is one of the most powerful steps to protect your and maintain your peace. What's going to maintain your peace? Boundaries are the invisible lines that define where you end and another person begins. Without them, disrespect becomes a cycle that repeats itself, draining your energy and eroding your self-worth. When you set boundaries with wisdom, you communicate clearly what behavior is acceptable and what is not, without hostility or apology. This is not about creating walls to shut people out, but about creating healthy structures that allow relationships to thrive without chaos. Boundaries teach people how to treat you. Boundaries teach people how to treat you. If you don't set them, people will assume they can push as far as you allow. Setting boundaries with wisdom requires self-respect, courage, and consistency. It means you are willing to endure the discomfort of saying no in order to honor your own well-being. Many people fear setting the oed, to say. Many people fear setting boundaries because they worry about conflict or rejection. But without boundaries, would invite more disrespect than you prevent. Say, what's this to a prone this is? Does not say. The key is to approach boundaries, not as punishment, but as stewardship of your time, energy, and emotional space. When you draw a line, do so with calm firmness, not anger. This makes it clear that your boundary is a principle. Your boundary is a principle, not an emotional outburst. Boundaries also protect your ability to love and give freely. Without them, resentment builds and relationships suffer. When you establish them wisely, you create mutual respect and clarity. Over time, people who value you will adjust to your boundaries, and those who do not will naturally drift away. And then those who do not will naturally drift away. This process may feel uncomfortable at first, but it ultimately leads to greater freedom, peace, and self-respect. Boundaries are also a form of self-teaching. And each time you enforce them, each time you enforce them, you reinforce your own sense of worth. You learn that you are allowed to protect your heart, your time, and your energy. And your energy, and this is not selfishness, but maturity. Dim. By setting boundaries with wisdom, you create an environment where respect can flourish, and you send a powerful message that your life, your peace, and your dignity are not up for negotiation. At Beat, transforming pain into power is about taking the negative energy of disrespect and turning into a driving force for growth, clarity, and achievement. Every insult, rejection, or belittling remark carries with it a choice. You can let you, or you can let they. You can let it weaken you, or you can let it strengthen you. When you choose the second path, you reclaim control over your life. Pain, when handled with wisdom, becomes one of the greatest teachers. It exposes where you are vulnerable, what you truly value, and where you need to grow stronger. Disrespect can sting deeply. Titi grows stronger, Titi say, but it also reveals the areas where you've been relying on external validation. Real conviction. You have been relying on external validation instead of internal conviction. By recognizing this, you can use the idea to say you can innovation as motivation to build unshakable confidence and skills that no one can take away from you. Or say, transforming pain into power requires reframing the situation. Next, it goes on to say, instead of seeing disrespect as a sign of your inadequacy, you see it as evidence of another person's limitations, an opportunity for your advancement. You ask yourself, what can I learn? How can I grow? What strength can I develop through this mindset from become slow, becoming bitter, and instead makes you better. Oh, many, if his innate to say, many great achievements are born out of moments when someone was underestimated or dismissed. That moment can become the catalyst for your determination to excel. Pain also sharpens your empathy and wisdom. Once you've experienced disrespect and overcome it, you become more discerning. You become more discerning, more resilient, and more capable of leading others with understanding. With understanding this trend. So this transformation is not automatic. It requires intentional practice. It involves self-reflection, discipline, and the courage to see beyond the immediate wound. Over time, each experience of disrespect becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Oh, no, and no. You begin to live with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they can turn any setback into a setup for growth. So, transforming pain into power ultimately means refusing to let others define your story. Instead of shrinking under the weight of disrespect, lift the mouth, you rise above it using its pressure to forge character, vision, and strength that can carry you far beyond the reach of the very people who tried to diminish you. Responding, not reacting, is the discipline of mastering your emotions so you can act with clarity, with an intention, rather than impulse and regret. When disrespect shows up in your life, it often comes like a spark, hoping to ignite a fire. A reaction is immediate, emotional, and usually unplanned. It is the reflex of your hurt, pride, or anger. A response, on the other hand, is deliberate, measured, and rooted in self-control. The difference between the two can determine whether determine whether you escalate conflict or neutralize it. Kuis will say, responding instead of reacting begins with awareness. You must learn to pause, breathe, and give yourself a moment to evaluate the situation. In that pause, you reclaim your power. You signal to yourself and to others that you are not ruled by their behavior. But by your own principles. This pause allows your mind to catch up with your emotions and gives you the space to decide what outcome you want. Gives you the space to decide what outcomes you truly want. Responding also requires you to separate facts from assumptions. When you react, you often assume the worst and act on incomplete information. When you respond, you gather clarity and choose your words carefully, and choose emir as Widden's words carefully. This approach not only protects your dignity, but also disarm those. Disarms those who seek to provoke you. By staying calm and thoughtful, you maintain the upper hand and demonstrate maturity. Over time, this Safe-Theer, this practice shapes your reputation. People begin to recognize you as someone who cannot be easily manipulated, baited, or thrown off course, responding, not reacting, also strengthens your relationships and your mental health. You stop carrying the weight of guilt from things said. You carry the weight from things said in anger. And you learn how to walk away from situations that do not deserve your energy. It is not weakness to respond calmly. It is strength under that spike. Strength under control. Okay. This discipline allows you to rise you above petty conflicts and stay focused on your larger purpose by consistently choosing to respond instead of react. You train yourself to live with composure, confidence, and wisdom. In doing so, you create an atmosphere where respect is more likely to grow, where you retain control over your own peace. 20 Psalms on to say, no matter how others behave toward you, rising above and redefining yourself is the ultimate act of taking control over how you are seen and how you see yourself despite disrespect or rejection. Your spit or rejection. It is the process of refusing to let the words, attitudes, or actions of others limit the vision you have for your life. When people treat you with disrespect, petsuis, they are often trying to confine you to a small box built from their own insecurities, fears, or misunderstandings. Rising above means you will not live in that box. You will not live in that box. Instead of engaging petty battles or proving your worth to those who will not see it, you focus on becoming a stronger, wiser, tuor of yourself, and more complete version of yourself. Redefining yourself is about rewriting the narrative others have tried to assign to you. Every time someone underestimates you or dismisses you, it becomes an opportunity to clarify who you truly are and you truly and what you truly stand for. This requires you to hold a clear vision of your identity and your goals, to say, independent of outside validation. It also requires forgiliation, not necessarily reconciliation, plako, to say, but the release of bitterness. But the release of bitterness so that disrespect does not poison your spirit. Rising above does not mean ignoring reality. It means seeing beyond it. You take the negative energy thrown at you and convert it into motivation, determination, and self-mastery. You stop waiting for God to say, stop waiting for others to recognize your value and begin living it daily through your actions, decisions, and character. This transformation is visible. People can sense when someone has risen above offense and has defined themselves by their principles rather than by public opinion. Over time, this posture earns true respect because it demonstrates unshakable confidence and maturity. It allows you to be acting from a lower plane. Influence from a higher plane instead of reacting from a lower one. Redefining yourself also means setting new standards for your life, higher expectations, healthier environments, and stronger relationships. Stronger relationships. When you consistently rise above disrespect and live out your true identity, you create a life. You create a life that reflects your inner strength. You become an example of resilience, leadership, and dignity, showing that your worth is not determined by how other you treat you, but by how you choose to live and become, and who you choose to become.